back. WNST, Towson, Baltimore, and Baltimore Positive. I tell you what, this segment's one of the types we built Baltimore Positive for, but I'm going to give a few shout-outs. First off to my friends at Raskin Global. You can find Leonard Raskin out in our audio vault right now. He is a weekly contributor as we're building a bigger, better, more awesome Baltimore Positive, and WNST.net. You'll be seeing more of that. Also want to tell our friends about Chicken Palooza because we did have National Fried Chicken Day. Then we had National French Fry Day, which I am going to politic for National Western Fry Day on behalf of my friends at Royal Farms Chicken Palooza. 10 cents from every Chicken Palooza box sold is going to benefit our friends at the Johns Hopkins Children's Center, so I want to give them a shout out. And this next segment, talk about Baltimore Positive and the things that are going on. And I could pull my Cole Roofing hat in or my mug in because Bill Cole sort of inspired me for all these conversations, and I had a long conversation with him earlier in the week. They've only been doing it 101 years now, Cole Roofing, even though the mug says 100. He said to me, man, you got to start doing more segments, about like people in the community and talking about stuff that's not sports. I want you to not stick to sports. And I tell you what, this is where like sports and our community and high school and making a difference and football, all of that sort of intersects, because I met Van Brooks on the other end of his accident, and I want to welcome him in here from Safe Alternative. And Van, everybody knows your story, but I want to give you 2 minutes to tell it because you came into my life one night when you were on the battle, and Marvin Lewis and I and a bunch of folks were gathered up at Loyola. I will let you know I wore Loyola blue today just to anger up the Calvert Hall people, because the Loyola people actually have me out every year around Christmas time to be the MC of that crazy basketball game they play, where the senior citizens come down from the Bicota Center and beat up on the poor kids for the holidays. But happy summer to you. I know I said I need some inspiration to start my day, so I'm going to invite Van Brooks on here, man. What's going on, my brother? How you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Well, let's see, pandemic, we're trying to start baseball, we're trying to figure out football, we're trying to figure out business, we're trying to figure out racial relations in our country, we're trying to vote for a new president, hopefully. But above and beyond all that, we're trying to all find the new normal, right? I mean, and you run an incredible organization. I mean, your story's incredible, and then COVID hits, and here are the very people you're trying to serve are going through even more challenges than they already had to begin with, right?
Yes, absolutely. So just to, quickly, my story, Loyola Blakefield from 6 through 12, three-sport athlete, football player, broke my neck my junior year playing football, was initially paralyzed from the neck down, unable to do anything for myself. And over the years, I made a really good recovery. I graduated from Loyola on time, went on to Towson University, graduated from there. And then I started my foundation, Safe Alternative Foundation for Education, in 2012, opened up the Safe Center in 2015. So
you're year 9 now, maybe, like about then? Well, year 5 or 6 for being open, but you're almost a decade into this vision of yours, right?
Yeah. We're 8 years. September will be 8 years.
Awesome.
Yeah, so 8 years have gone by really fast.
What's your founding date? September what?
September 28th.
Well, okay. My son was born the 22nd. So yeah. Okay, all right. So all right, good. All right. I'm just putting the dates together. September, and I'm thinking like when kids go back to school. So every September, you're 2 years away from 10. So the vision for this and what it would be, where did it come from? And at what point did you say on your journey of just trying to make your way in the world and figure out where your purpose was, at what point did you envision what Safe Alternative was going to be?
It's wild because I woke up from a dream that said start a nonprofit. And when I woke up from that dream, I literally had the vision of helping students understand the importance of having an education and a backup plan for life. And initially I was going to focus on athletes only, just because I was an athlete and just everything that I went through, but then also focusing on financial literacy. And then, in talking to people said, don't do that because you're kind of putting yourself in a box. And so just open it up to any and everybody. And so just thinking about my neighborhood, I said, well, a lot of people at the time are focusing on and still do focus on high school and after high school, but no one was really paying attention to middle schoolers. And so I decided that middle school would be that perfect age where, they're old enough to understand the world around them and what's happening around them, and you can just give it to them straight, but you can still mold them because they haven't hit that age of they know it all, right? Once you kind of
Well, they
hit high
think they
school,
know
you
it
know
all.
it all. Yeah. So middle school was just perfect for us, and when we opened the center, our biggest thing was again teaching the importance of having an education, but also exposing them to the world outside of their communities and exposing them to different careers that they could pursue outside of athletics or entertainment.
Did you have a backup plan when you were at Loyola before your accident? What were you going to be when you grew up then?
My goal was NFL, and I used to always say my backup plan, which it really wasn't a backup plan. It was just something I was interested in. I would have done, but I've always wanted to be a Navy SEAL.
Oh, wow.
I love those guys, and so that was like my plan B. If football doesn't work out, I'll try to become a Navy SEAL.
Wow. All right.
And
So you wanted to go to the academy. That was more the direction than thinking you were going to go run the football for Clemson or something like that.
No, actually, I would have gone to a big school for football because, again, that was my number one thing. But for whatever reason, if it didn't work out, I would have tried to get into the Navy SEAL thing. But again, the Navy SEAL was kind of like I need to have a backup plan because my dad keep yelling at me about what I'm going to do if football doesn't work out, and that's what I was just always into.
Yeah, good parents. That's a big part of this, isn't it?
Yeah, oh for sure. He used to grill me about it, and unfortunate but fortunate that I had him. Unfortunate that I actually had to suffer an injury, and I had to literally face reality of neither one of those things are now possible. Going to the NFL isn't. Being a Navy SEAL isn't. What can I fall back on? And I didn't have anything. But the one thing that my dad used to always say, and the one thing that I did eventually realize was, no matter what my physical ability was, my education is something that can never be taken away. And as long as I had that education, I would be successful. And so when I fast forward and I think about my community and think about some communities similar to mine, I always say to people that, some communities are paralyzed. Not physically, but mentally, because they don't have the education that they need to be successful, or they don't have the resources and the opportunities that they need to be successful. And that was something that I wanted to fix. That was something that every single day that I come to my center and I work with my kids, I'm providing them with those resources and I'm providing them with those opportunities to be successful be successful now as well as later in life.
My dude, Van Brooks is here from Safe Alternative Foundation for Education. You can learn all about Van and all that Van does at safealternative.org. I love turning the station over to Van, just let him tell me stories and asking him questions and whatnot. I always think of you as being like 16 or 17, right? So how old are you now? I'm trying to do the math. Hold on, let me see. I think you're 34? No,
too old.
How old are you?
I'm 32.
32. All right.
It's crazy because I spent half of my life in this chair, and that's wild when you think about it that way.
Well, you spent half your life inspiring me. Think about it that way.
Yeah, that's a good perspective. That's a better perspective.
Well, let's put this into perspective. Where is Safe Alternative on March 1st earlier this year? What were you focused on? What was going on? What's happening before COVID in your world? Give me not a typical day, but you're 6-7 years into this. I'm assuming you've had tragedies. You with young children. I mean, I know the community you come from. I know the community you serve. I'm assuming you've had triumphs. I'm assuming there's some child you met in 2014 that you have inspired who's now a sophomore in college over at Coppin or more somewhere. I don't know, anywhere, right? Towson, wherever. Give me where you were March before COVID, because I think for everybody, I think for the rest of our lives, bro, I think there's going to be, much like your accident, for me with my wife's leukemia, those moments, 9/11 for people, before and after a war, I think there's going to be, what was life before COVID and what was life after? I don't think anybody's going to be the same in any way in the way we're going to approach the rest of our lives, I think. I believe that.
Yeah. So before COVID, it kind of was business as usual for us. We kind of go through the same routine, but it's always just bringing different opportunities and resources to our kids and to our community. And that was just what we've always done. But when COVID hit, we actually took a step back. We took a step back to really analyze how we could best support what was happening. No one knew what to do. And so I didn't want to just rush in and not make things worse, but just rush in and spend resources in areas that wasn't really needed for my kids and for my neighbor.
Well, the first thing everybody thought about was let's get masks on people, right? I mean, that was sort of the first thing. Let's make masks. Doctors don't have PPE. You know, that was sort of the initial part of it. And I think for everybody that runs anything, it's, well, we need money to operate. Whereas, then it was PPP, for business owners. But I think on a day-to-day basis, so much of all of our work, right? And you working from your chair, bringing people together, right? Every time I see you somewhere, we're somewhere bringing people together. And I think the hardest part of that is, especially for folks who are challenged with communication or challenged with devices or challenged financially or challenged for Wi-Fi or all the above, it's just how we could communicate with each other in the beginning in order to sort of hold the whole thing together, right?
Yeah. Well, what we did, so many people were doing that. So again, we took that step back so that way we can allow other folks to do what we're going to do, and then we could fill those gaps. And so we would, again, continue to stay in contact with our kids and our families, calling, asking what did they need. And so we would get lists of things, items that they needed support with, and we would go out and we would get those things to provide them.
That's an amazing concept, isn't it? Hey, what do they need? Well, let's ask them, and they'll tell us, and then we can maybe help them with it, right? That's kind of cool.
I mean, it's very simple.
Yeah.
Things were already complicated, so we didn't want to complicate it even more. It's just, hey, what do you need, and we'll take care of it.
What were those needs other than, like, I can't pay my rent, literally, right?
So, actually, we didn't have any of those.
That's good.
But the needs that we did have were just basic cleaning supplies. We need cleaning supplies, or we may need a laptop. We have laptops at the center because we use those for our kids anyway. So we were able just to drop off laptops to those families who needed laptops. And cleaning supplies, those were just the main things, cleaning supplies and laptops.
Well, I mean, you give somebody a laptop in 2020 during a pandemic where you can't leave the house, you give them the ability to communicate with the world, right? I mean, I had on Heidi Daniel from Enoch Pratt Library. I'm sure you've crossed paths with her, and it was sort of the same way, right? Like, not everybody had Dundalk High School like I had in the Baltimore County Library, and you went to Loyola and from a difficult circumstance, but had some resources. But I think that was the initial part of all of this, just the resources to get the information you needed to stay safe at that point, and to have the online part of that. I think so many people take that for granted, and that really changed a lot in March, I think, in the minds of a lot of people.
Oh, for sure, because you really saw the gap. There was a huge gap. When I'm talking to independent schools and I get on a Zoom session, they had 300 kids that logged in, right? You have 300 kids logging in at these independent schools, but we still have kids in the city that don't have access to anything. And so that gap, as far as the education gap, that just widened already. Independent schools, kids were in school. Our kids weren't. And so, we were trying to get our kids packets, getting technology. If we can get laptops to them, then we have to worry about the Wi-Fi. And just trying to figure out all of those things. Again, I believe that education gap just got wider.
What needs to happen, Van? I mean, not going back to school next month, and we could talk about that for sure, but let's say in a flat world after the pandemic, 2 years, 5 years from now, it appears we've just elected Brandon Scott. I mean, you've been on every side of the city in every way possible from Loyola and your background, and I see you out in all these. For you with education, what part is missing that if I were mayor and gave you an unlimited fund, what could get fixed about this to make this better 10, 15 years from now for a child that's 3, 4, 5 years old right now to come out of this thing 17, 18, 19 in a better place in, 2035 when I'm a senior citizen on a beach somewhere, hopefully still in peak physical condition, of course.
I think that it's a lot that needs to be done. I really don't believe we have enough time to get into all of those things. But I know the first thing that I would start with would definitely be just the environment that our kids are in, understanding the environment and getting just some basic necessities taken care of. Heating and air conditioning, making sure that they have the books that they need, making sure that they have Wi-Fi and technology, making sure that they have those things that will help them now and then later. We definitely have to address the basic necessities in the very beginning, though. And so, I mean, it's just so many things that would need to be done. And I know I'm just kind of giving us the simplest answer possible without really diving deeper, because again, I don't think we have enough time to really get deep.
We'll do that in the next. I'll grab Moeller when this thing gets fixed, and we'll go over to State Fair, or we'll sit at maybe the new Fadley's in Catonsville or down to Lexington Market once they get it all figured out and built up, and we'll have a crab cake, and we'll go through all of those things. Van Brooks is here from Safe Alternative Foundation for Education. He does it all around town, in pandemics, out of pandemics. You can find him at safealternative.org. 8 years. So give me your favorite story of a kid you met who's now doing something awesome because they fell in with you somehow, some way through the greater grace of our Creator.
Yeah, so one, I have a student, lives in my neighborhood, not far from me, came to us, and, we are very big on exposure, and we take kids to Loyola. And the first time I got to Loyola, he told me that he wanted to go to college there. And I said, you can't go to college here. And he's like, why not? You always tell us we can do whatever we want to do in life. And I said, yeah, you can, but this isn't a college. And so he was kind of blown away because...
Did you take him over to Loyola College after that and show him you could go?
No, we didn't. We just stayed at Loyola, at Blakefield.
I know, but he could go to both if he wanted to.
Oh, for sure. But he wants to go. He wants to go somewhere else. He wants to go out of state. We're going to be helping him with that.
We're going to dream a bigger dream is all we're doing, right?
Oh, we're always pushing to dream bigger dreams. And so, make a long story short, he told me that he wanted to go to a private school, whether it was Loyola or another one. We made a deal. He bring me straight A's.
Now, how old is he when you met him?
He was in the 6th grade when I met him.
Okay.
So this was his 7th grade year.
Okay.
And so I told him, if you bring me straight A's your 8th grade year, I'll do everything within my power to get you to a private school.
Straight A's.
Straight A's. So
I had a dad. We all, right? Straight A's means straight A's. I mean, that doesn't mean a B in music or a B in art or, right? I mean, it's straight A's. All right, go ahead.
Straight A's, A pluses.
All right.
The entire 8th grade year, that's what he brought me.
Wow.
And so I upheld my part and did everything I could do. He was accepted into 3 private schools.
Wow.
He chose Crystal Ray. He is a shining star there, and
because he wanted to be on the east side where all the love is, right?
No, he just wanted to be at a good school. That's pretty much what it came down to. Some of the other schools were further. He had, that bus ride from here to Loyola is about at least an hour early in the morning, and so he's doing very well there. Since he's been there, he's had a 4.0. And
they do great work over Cristo Ray, right?
So they do amazing work
absolutely.
there. Yeah, they do amazing work there. And he's a rising senior, and he'll be going to a HBCU once he graduates.
Well, that's beautiful, man. You're doing great stuff, Van. I just reached to you. I just thought, like, it's been a while since I've had Van on, and, I'm mixing all these Baltimore positive stories in. We did the mayor stuff, trying to figure out baseball and football and all that stuff, and sending kids back to school. Van, what happens if we don't send kids back to school? Like, I don't think it's a good idea. I don't think we haven't been able to keep our baseball teams and our basketball teams in a bubble safe. I don't believe this virus is safe. I don't believe it's safe for kids to go back to school. I'm going to stay on that. So I don't know what plan B is. I'm not the mayor. If I were the mayor, I'd have a plan, right? But what, in your mind, what happens? And I would think that this is where guys like you and organizations like yours really do get taxed a little bit more if we're into November and December and there are no schools, but we have kids that need to learn, obviously, and you know that as well as anybody. What would your role be in this, and what could we do better to make this better?
Yeah, I want to stop. I think that from what I've heard and the things that I've read about Baltimore City Public Schools, I think they're doing the best and that they can with the information that they have. I think they're really doing a great job. and I think that they're going to make the right decision.
I'm a big fan of Dr. Santelises. I do hope that whatever the decision is, it doesn't end with any tragedy. That's all. I'm always on the safe side. These are our kids, right? I mean, you're safe alternative. You got safe built into you, man.
Yeah, no, like I said, I think that they're doing a great job, and I think that they're going to make the right decision, even if it goes against popular opinion. Now, I think that if we aren't able to get into school, again, that education gap widens even more. And I think that a lot of nonprofits like SAFE, we're going to definitely, I guess you already said, we're going to be required to step up even more in ways that we've probably never had to step up. And I'm already thinking about ways that we can support our local school at Franklin Square Elementary Middle, thinking about ways that we can begin to support the parents and support the teachers and support the students with the resources that we have. And so we haven't really quite figured things out just yet, but we're working on it. As I talked to you offline, we have a in-person summer camp running right now, and that's something that we just had to really sit down with my team and figure out how can we be safe and how can we make this happen. And now that we're actually doing this, we're in our second week and things are running really smooth. We feel confident that whatever happens with the school systems, we'll definitely be able to support at least Franklin Square Elementary Middle students as much as possible.
Anybody that doesn't know where Franklin Square Elementary, because a lot of folks are familiar with Franklin Square Hospital, they don't know Franklin Square Elementary School. It's on the west side of town, just south of what Dan Rogers once called the road to nowhere on 40, and out on the west side. And hey, bro, I don't see you around as much. I mean, one time I'm walking through Fells Point, and you're just out on the porch offering me tacos. So I at least owe you a taco at some point. I'm one taco down to you, and hopefully a beer somewhere and some cheer outdoor, and fist bump you and give you a hug like I usually do sometime in the future, man. But keep doing the great work you're doing. If I can be helpful in any way, throw me a note over this way, and I hope we can all get back to something normal here at some point soon. Okay.
Yeah, I hope so too.
Keep doing the good work you're doing. Tell everybody how to find you. Email, phone, all that. I'll give them the website, safealternative.org, but what's the best way to grab you?
So the website, I'm very active on social media, and it's just Van Brooks on LinkedIn and Facebook. On Instagram, it's VanBrooks25. And then my email is vbrooks@safealternative.org. I'm very accessible. You can find me everywhere.
I saw the bobblehead on the internet, so I know you're out there, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I appreciate you.
Take care. Van Brooks, my man. Loyola, Dons. Man, I didn't want to make sure I didn't mix up Loyola College and Loyola High School. That's all right. I lectured at Loyola College, and they let me into Loyola, the high school, Blakefield. Calvert Hall, they don't invite me over there anymore, That's a good way to start the war. I didn't start the Loyola Calvert Hall War. I'm just happy to continue it. Nasty at WNST.net. Doing Baltimore positive things around here, including eating Taharka ice cream. I'm eating, a lot of people don't like vanilla ice cream, but they think it's time to rethink vanilla bean ice cream with Taharka here. Sweet vanilla cream ice cream with flecks of vanilla beans. You know what I've done? I get these fresh peaches this time of year, mix that in a little bit of a crumble. Perfect. Go back to vanilla bean while you mix in your honey graham and your peanut butter cup and all that good stuff. Taharka, made with love right here in Baltimore. Just like us. We are WNST.net, AM 1570. Calm, local. Doesn't get any more local than safealternative.org and Van Brooks. And always Baltimore positive.